What's up guys, it's Pride here, and today we're going to be talking about how does Madara compare against the Otsutsuki clan, pretty much a versus battle. You see, last week I made a video about how Madara was way stronger than most people gave him credit for, and in that video I pretty much explained all of his abilities and what he can really do once he actually got going and hit his maximum potential. Today is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be going over Madara versus the Otsutsuki members, namely Kinshiki and Momoshiki. We're not even going to talk about Ishiki because, well, we can all agree that he kind of ain't got a chance with that guy. But Momoshiki and Kinshiki is interesting to think about, and the end results are pretty interesting in my opinion. But before we actually get started, first I want to say thanks for watching the video. Hit the like button down below. If there's any debates you guys want to have about in the comment section, feel free to comment your agreements or disagreements. Let me know if I missed anything. That also helps out a lot when it comes to evaluating characters like this. And again, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Now, let's start off with Madara versus them 1v1. We're not going to have both of them come at him at the same time. At least not yet. That is going to be happening later on in the video. But first off, we're going to start with Madara versus Kinshiki and try to figure out which form of Madara would it take to actually beat Kinshiki. And first off, I think we're going to start off right off the bat with Madara while he was still alive, and he has his EMS Sharingan. That's all he has going for him. Now, this Madara is a beast. Like he was one of the strongest people in Legend. So strong that he can fight Hashirama, who is stronger than most Kages even presently besides Naruto and, well, the third Kage, rumored. But Madara is still on the same level as Hashirama, even with his EMS, if not just slightly weaker. And we actually get to see Kinshiki fighting Kage level people. Now, the problem with this is Kinshiki was fighting Kage level people and Sasuke also included, but Sasuke was going quite easy on Kinshiki. Sasuke wasn't actually going all out. He didn't even have his EMS activated. Pretty much just went as max as his Sharingan and that was it. And he pretty much let the Kage do most of the work during this fight. And it wasn't even necessarily all of the Kage. It was mainly just two of them, the Susukage and the Mizukage. Now, even at this stage, we already know that Madara with his EMS already can beat Kage level opponents. Heck, he beat two future Susukages by himself when they went to Konoha for an alliance, and Madara pretty much beat both their asses and told them straight out, if you want an alliance, it's going to be servitude or nothing else. Now, these two Susukages are like pretty much the strongest ones in history, even stronger than the current Susukage right now. And the fact that Madara beat both of them at the same time without really messing up the place kind of says a lot about his prowess. So even this Madara versus Kinshiki, surprisingly enough, he has at least defeats to show that he is on that level of destructive power. Again, the 5 Kage in Boruto, with the exception of Naruto Uzumaki and Gaara. The rest of the Kages are arguably weaker than their predecessors, meaning that they actually wouldn't hold much of a fight against people like A, the 4th Kage, and the previous Susukage, Anoki. The Mizukage is a little different. I never really thought that she was all that strong. Even her lava style was pretty okay, but I never really thought that she was impressive. And Chujuru, I'm assuming I'm saying his name right, the current Mizukage, he seems better, but it's not by an insane margin, and that's the problem. Madara by himself could have probably, even in those old days, could probably fight at least 3 to 4 Kage level opponents at the same time and win devastatingly. So to see Kinshiki fight 2 to 3 Kages and then one Sasuke who's not really trying, he's just helping out a little bit with like an alley-oop here and there, actually says that Kinshiki actually isn't that great. I mean, he has the Byakugan, but I mean, that's nothing too special. I mean, we know that Kinshiki can absorb ninjutsu and pretty much use it as very powerful weapons, and he's pretty strong and fast in his own right. Again, he can't be outplayed. He doesn't seem to be the smart one, and he isn't overly fast to the point where no one can react to him. And against EMS Madara, this is actually a bad matchup entirely. EMS Madara has the same type of Sharingan pattern as Sasuke, meaning they're very adept at predicting their opponent's movements and reading it out. It also allows them to move their body even better. Even Madara says that their eyes are very similar in this regard. So having a speed difference, even if Kinshiki is faster, having a speed difference actually doesn't matter unless it's by a huge margin, which, as we see with his fight, is not that huge. I say this all to say, pretty much Kinshiki kind of falls short completely when it comes to Madara. Maybe Kinshiki can win. We'll give Kinshiki like a 2 out of 10 chance to win, while Madara has like an 8 out of 10 chance in EMS. Again, I explained more about Madara's specific powers and states in the video I have last week. So if you want to see more of that, get a true understanding of how strong Madara is, the link's in the description. But if that's not good enough, then I think there shouldn't be any argument against Rinnegan Madara with Hashirama cells. I think that is a clean and easy win for Madara any day of the week. Like, this is like no diff Madara on Kinshiki, because Madara has already shown that he has arguably beaten stronger Kages, all 5 of them at the same time, actively working together to try to beat him and seal him, and yet nothing worked. Yet when Kinshiki gets sealed by 2 Kages who are, again, arguably weaker than their predecessors, it kind of works like a charm against him. If we go back to Madara, with the Rinnegan, Madara can do everything Kinshiki can do, except a little bit better. Also, he can absorb ninjutsus just like Kinshiki, and he also has all the powers of the Rinnegan. Now, even if Madara couldn't use ninjutsu, he can still use the other powers of the Rinnegan, which it seems like Momoshiki and Kinshiki both don't have all those powers because they don't use any of them. And Momoshiki Rinnegan is a different variant, so it seems like the purple Rinnegan is almost the best Rinnegan in terms of versatility, at least. He can also use wood style to make multiple wood clones, all of them having Susanos, and also he can use wood style to just seal Kinshiki and trap his movements and drain his chakra. That's the best part about the wood style technique. Instead of it being destructive, it's more of a way to capture people and weaken people, because its basic ability is to absorb chakra, and this ability was kind of derived from the fact that it had to absorb 9 tails chakra, which is originated from Kaguya, which Kaguya is an Otsutsuki member. In fact, as a byproduct, it was kind of perfectly made to absorb Kinshiki's powers. So with all of these reasons, I gotta say that Kinshiki just flat out lose against Madara with the Rinnegan. No difficulty at all. Moving to Momoshiki. Momoshiki, kind of in the same boat, but for different reasons as Kinshiki. Kinshiki is good at close combat. Momoshiki is kind of good at, absorbing ninjutsu and putting it and dishing it back out. That's his Rinnegan's powers. In one hand, he can absorb ninjutsu, and in the other hand, he can dish it right back out. The thing is, as Sasuke mentioned once before, the way Momoshiki used this ability is kind of like ammunition. He can gain your jutsu if you shoot it at him, and then he can hold it for a certain amount of time, maybe indefinitely, but once he releases it, he no longer has it anymore. So once Madara sees this, even in the EMS mode, he will automatically have an understanding of what Momoshiki's abilities do. Madara is a very insightful man. As I explained in my last video last week, Madara is very keen to deciphering and having a full grasp of his opponent's skill set and dojutsu, even in the midst of combat. So in regards to Momoshiki's ability to absorb ninjutsu, once Madara dishes that out to Momoshiki, and Madara can definitely receive his own attacks right back at him, even if it is at a greater volume, Madara won't make that same mistake again. He'll just close in on taijutsu and use shadow clones in his EMS state. And as we see from the manga and the anime, that is enough to beat Momoshiki. Momoshiki knew that he couldn't out combat all these guys in close hand combat, because Momoshiki brags about not training and getting powers the easy way. So obviously he's not that adept at it. If anything, Momoshiki is in a worse spot than Kinshiki. Kinshiki can maybe win when Madara is in his EMS, but Momoshiki has an even less chance of winning against EMS Madara. Now, what if we were to put them together? I mean, the power disparity is so great that them fighting together actually seems like it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But them working together could pose a problem to Madara. Again, they are both decently fast, even with Madara's EMS, unless Madara dishes out a crap ton of shadow clones. Madara will have very little room for error if they are both attacking him at the same time with the intent to just kill him. Separately, Madara has a very easy time because they're lacking in multiple skills and they only specialize in one thing, while Madara specializes in a magnitude of things. Together, they can kind of bridge the gap just a little bit. When it comes to Madara and Rinnegan fighting Momoshiki and Kinshiki at the same time, Madara will have a hard time, but it won't be too difficult. And the reasons being because wood style is still a thing. Now, as Hashirama has displayed, when Hashirama fought Madara and saw that Madara had the Rinnegan, Hashirama boldly claimed that Madara wouldn't be able to absorb ninjutsu anymore as long as he is surrounded by the trees, meaning that the trees absorbing chakra also somehow seals the ability to also absorb chakra. I'm not 100% sure how that works, but Hashirama was very confident that it did this. And Madara didn't refute him, and Madara also didn't actually block the Rasen Shuriken that was coming to his face. Again, don't ask me why wood style can stop you from absorbing chakra, because to me, it seems like absorbing chakra wouldn't cost you chakra to do, and it's just an ability to do. But I guess the added bonus of wood style is just to seal abilities and not just absorb chakra. So that is what that is. That's stated in the manga and in the anime. so wood style can counteract absorption techniques. So if Madara were to catch Momoshiki in that while fighting Kinshiki, while, I don't know, making a wood clone here and there, along with Susanoo's, Madara will still be able to separate the both of them. Madara will be smart enough to develop tactics to divide and conquer, and sealing both Kinshiki and Momoshiki at the same time wouldn't be too difficult of a task. In the anime, we see Gaara momentarily hold Momoshiki, fuse Momoshiki at that, with sand. So to say that Madara can't do the same with an even stronger Kekkei Genkai at his disposal, wood style, against unfused Momoshiki and Kinshiki would be kind of outlandish to say that Madara couldn't do it. So actually, Kinshiki and Momoshiki doesn't even make it to Jubidara. In fact, they don't even make it to Rini Rebirthed Madara when he has his one Rinnegan but also has Sage Mode along with his Hashirama cells. And that Madara is actually a completely different beast. But however, even though that Madara is a completely different beast, once Momoshiki absorbs Kinshiki kind of like Boo style and pretty much becomes Super Momoshiki, that's when we're actually having an argument here. That's when we're actually starting to delve into Madara struggling a lot. First off, EMS Madara and even Rinnegan Madara has no chance against this Momoshiki. This Momoshiki was able to completely dust and one tap all the Kages. The gap in power is pretty substantial, even so much that Naruto and Sasuke has to go full out in order to beat this man. Now, I will say that Naruto and Sasuke are not at their best. In fact, almost every old person in Boruto, it seems like, has been weakened to a degree. Naruto has gotten weaker due to him not training anymore and just sitting at the desk all day. We all know how strength works. Once you don't train it enough, you get weaker. This is pretty constant in everything, and it's even stated in the Naruto show itself that Naruto isn't in his prime. Sasuke, on the other hand, you could say he could be in his prime, but the problem with that is Sasuke hasn't really been training either. He's just been traveling and using his Rinnegan to open up planes to other dimensions. That's about it. So both Naruto and Sasuke, you can say at their best, they're as good as they were during the last arc of Naruto, which is where they beat Kaguya, but at their worst, they're slightly weaker. And even then, both Sasuke and Naruto together, even in their weakened state, beat Momoshiki with a little bit of room to spare. Yeah, it was pretty hard, but it wasn't insanely hard. It wasn't impossible. In fact, the only reason that Momoshiki was able to continue going onward is because a scientist decided to give Momoshiki even more ammunition. And that's what really had them on the ropes. Besides that, they can beat him easily, which also tells you how much weaker the other Kage were in comparison to Naruto and Sasuke. The fact that almost none of them are as strong as when they were during the war arc and even weaker than their predecessors kind of also proves my point. So I say all this when comparing Super Momoshiki to Madara, I'll say that Jubidara with the Rinnegan, one Rinnegan, will have an insanely hard time beating him. If we're going off the fact that Naruto and Sasuke are as good as they were during the war arc, then Madara will have a hard time beating him, but he was at their same level. And he's actually a better combatant than Momoshiki in every way possible. Now I say Jubidara with the one Rinnegan is hard, but that's excluding the fact that Jubidara is immune to all damage that is not Senjutsu / 6 paths chakra. And the reason I have to specify 6 paths chakra is because 6 paths chakra is pretty much ultimate Senjutsu. That is what that is. So Momoshiki realistically can't beat Jubidara if we're gonna go based on the fact that Jubidara is immune to everything and has a high resistance to physical damage, just off rip. But if we take that away from him, then it will just be a high difficulty. Madara will win, let's say 2 out of 10 times, and Momoshiki will win 8 out of 10 times. If Madara doesn't have, the insane instructability feat. But if he does have the instructability feat, then Momoshiki doesn't have a chance because Momoshiki doesn't have Senjutsu. The only Otsutsuki members to ever have that is Hagoromo and Hamura. They're the only ones to have this because they're the only ones to train in it because it's a new form of energy that is only relatively found on Naruto's planet. This is not commonplace for Otsutsuki members at all. Senjutsu is a whole different type of chakra. Now we can move to Madara with dual Rinnegan. And Madara, at this point, a lot of you wouldn't believe it, but Madara with both Rinnegans is insane. Madara actually can't lose at that point. And that's because I have neglected this entire time, besides I think earlier with Kinshiki, I've neglected this entire time to involve the Limbo clones that Momoshiki cannot see until he is fused and then he has the Rinnegan. Then I believe he can see it. But until then, Momoshiki couldn't see the Limbo clones because all he has is the Byakugan and his Rinnegan actually isn't a visual type of Rinnegan. It's made for power. But again, Super Momoshiki can probably see the limbos because he has the Rinnegan in his forehead. But the reason I say he will still lose to dual Rinnegan Jubidara is because in this form, all of Madara's Rinnegan abilities is at least 4 times stronger than what they were when he only had one eye. And the one-eyed version of Madara was comparable at least, if not just a little bit weaker than Naruto and Sasuke. And as I said, Six Path Sasuke and Naruto during the war arc was them at their strongest in both Boruto and in the Naruto series. So the fact that Madara it was already at that level with just one Rinnegan, and then he got 2, actually boosts him past that level by a mile. And again, it's because all of his Rinnegan abilities are actually 4 times greater. We see it with the Limbo clones. When he only had one eye, he only had one Limbo clone available to him. When he has 2 eyes, he has 4 Limbo clones available to him. And not only that, he was able to do Chibaku Tensei to a higher level than anyone else before him. Usually you only see one giant meteor in the sky when people use that ability. Madara summoned like 8 of them in like one go, and then just went into the air and completely left Sasuke and Naruto to fend for themselves, and they were having a hard time just combating all of the rocks and all of the other Limbo clones. It took both of them, and Madara successfully divided and conquered while still moving on with his objective against Naruto and Sasuke in their strongest forms. And we see how easy Naruto and Sasuke beats Super Momoshiki here. So at the end of the day, all I can say is Momoshiki, he ain't all that, man. He says he was stronger than Kaguya, but I think that's him just wishing he was stronger than Kaguya, to be honest. I think he was just gonna cheese Kaguya like he cheesed everybody else, absorbed her abilities with his hands, and then have Kinshiki come in with the slap because Kinshiki's a better fighter, you know. I'm pretty sure that's what Momoshiki's plan was in that circumstance. In the video with Madara's just way too strong, not his physical prowess, I mean his entire kit, his mental aptitude, his special abilities that he has, his ninjutsu, all of his ninja training, everything compiled together outclasses what Momoshiki can do by himself as a whole. Momoshiki's not trained like Madara is. Momoshiki's not as smart like Madara is. Momoshiki can't think to a higher capacity of like outplaying his opponent like Madara does constantly. And Momoshiki truly doesn't try to understand his opponent's abilities like Madara does. I mean, look at this man. He's getting completely clowned by Naruto and Sasuke, so much so that they let Boruto come in and just finish it up because they're like, you know what, Boruto, you got it. This dude ain't nothing. Oof.
Wake up to reality.